So, Koinonia, Greek for fellowship, coffee house opened in 1973 with artists such as Dogwood, Fireworks, and Brown Bannister boldly sharing their faith through contemporary music. It became a destination for Jesus music artists nationwide as young talent such as Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith shared their first songs. The neighboring Belmont Church helped with overflow crowds, co-hosting early CCM recording artists. You guys can go ahead now. Early CCM recording artists such as Honeytree, Randy Matthews, Don Francisco, and more. We're ready.
Oh, we're ready?
I gave very bad directions, I'm sorry.
I could just spend a long time letting my eyes drift across this crowd. So many familiar faces. I feel like that line from Hook when Robin Williams is being confronted by the Lost Boys and they're looking at him, and then they start pushing his loose skin back and he goes, "There you are." That's how I feel looking at this crowd.
Oh, you would do that.
So, one vivid story comes to mind, or two pictures. I was introduced to the world of Koinonia and the music of Dogwood because I'm the youngest of four girls, and my two oldest sisters, Kathy and Mimi, had discovered this community through Dan Harrell and Jerry Verner, the men that they eventually married. And we were part of another church. I felt sneaky and like a rebel when I would get a ride down here. But every Saturday night, Dogwood, initially Steve Chapman, help me, my brain's firing, Ron Elder and Dennis. Anyway, Dogwood then became Steve and Annie Chapman and Ron Elder. But every Saturday night, they came and played. And the coffee shop was a shotgun with a potbelly stove in the back, a wood-burning stove. And the carpet was carpet samples that had been pieced together. It was multicolored. Everybody just sat jammed in there cross-legged. My first boyfriend in high school, I was not old enough to drive, and I said, "I'm happy to go to your games on Friday, but I'm booked every Saturday night," because I wanted to come here. And I felt like it felt like the spiritual version of walking into my grandmother's house and smelling her freshly baking yeast rolls. It's like if I just could not, I just wanted to take it in. I wanted to taste it. I never wanted that environment to disappear from my life. And Koinonia morphed into several configurations, but that welcoming spirit, that there's room at the table, never left. And the vivid memory happened in the foyer of Belmont Church, which, I mean, it was better than like a reality TV show, because you never knew what was going to happen. You know, there was a bar at a catty corner across the street. Anybody could walk in. People would get up to say a confession from the pulpit, and it was going to be juicy. And I remember one time standing next to Don, because his youngest daughter, Helen, was one of my dearest friends, and a woman came in, and, I mean, she looked like she had been around the block. And she said, "Preacher, I take my clothes off for a living. Can I go to church here?" And he said, you give your heart to Jesus. He'll tell you what you can and can't do. Of course, you can go to church here." And I just thought, that is the church. It's the invitation. It's fearless. It's fearless. It's fearless love, fearless welcome. Knowing that He who began a good work in us. And every creation is a good work. He who began a good work in us is faithful to complete that work. And I'm so grateful that this memory is being kept alive. But those of us that are part of the wallpaper, we smelled the rolls. Thank you.
I should have gone first. 'Cause I can't top that. I agree with everything that Amy said. I'm going to try not to cry. And God's ways are higher than our ways. I think He has a great sense of humor. To think of our friend and Savior and the King of Kings was born of all places in a stable. And much of Christian music was born in a bookstore. And then this kid from West Virginia found his way to Nashville, Tennessee, and found himself completely, radically changed by the love of God on this corner. And so when I drive by here, it takes my breath away every time. And I tear up, and because I could have been in the gutter, I actually was in the gutter from 75 to 79, and that pivotal moment in 79, not too far from here, changed my life. And I made my home on this corner, in that church, in this bookstore, that completely changed my life. And it's honor and humbling all at the same time to be here for such a historic occasion. God bless you guys. Thank you.